held that kind of risk. The lines on her face eased a little and a smile tugged at her lips. She touched her finger to his face. At least we had each other. She looked deep into his eyes, to the places that belonged to only the two of them, and she kissed him. Come on, Chase. You've got to see why I'm worried. It's not just the money. He caught a quick look at his watch. You're afraid we won't finish on time, and that'll put us over budget, and... No! She didn't raise her voice, but the fear in her eyes cut him short. Don't you see? Shame filled in the spaces between her words. You're young, and handsome, and talented. Her smile was sad now. You'll be working with beautiful actresses and movie professionals, and... I don't know, the whole thing scares me. She didn't come out and admit her deeper feelings, those she'd shared with him a week before the trip. The fact that she didn't feel she could measure up to the Hollywood crowd. Chase ached for her, frustrated by her lack of confidence. This isn't about the movie industry. It's about a bigger mission field than we ever had in Indonesia. He wove his fingers into her thick, dark hair, drew her close, and kissed her once more. Trust me, baby, please. This time she didn't refute him, but the worry in her eyes remained as he grabbed his bags and stepped away from the car. He texted her once he got through security, telling her again that he loved her and that she had nothing to worry about. But she didn't answer, and now, no matter how badly he needed to sleep, he couldn't shake the look on her face or the tone of her voice. What if her fears were some sort of premonition about the movie? Maybe God was using her to tell Keith and him to pull out now, before they lost everything. Once on the plane, he tightened his seatbelt and stared out the window. But then Keith's wife was completely on board with their plans. Her father was one of the investors, after all. Besides that, Keith's daughter, Andy, was a freshman at Indiana University, so the shoot would give Keith a window to Andy's world, something he was grateful for. Andy wanted to be an actress, and apparently her roommate was a theater major. Both college girls would be extras in the film, so Keith's entire family could hardly wait to get started. Chase bit the inside of his lip. From the beginning, all the worries about the movie came from him and Kelly. But now that he was on his way to Indiana, Chase had to focus not on his fears but on the film. He ignored the knots in his stomach as he leaned against the cold, hard plastic that framed the airplane window. The movie they were making was called The Last Letter. The story of a college kid whose life is interrupted when his father suffers a sudden fatal heart attack. The kid isn't sure how to move on until his mother reveals to him a letter, one last letter from his father. That letter takes Braden on a quest of discovery in faith and family, and finally into a brilliant future Braden had known nothing about. The story was a parable, an illustration of the verse in Jeremiah 29:11, "For I know the plans I have for you, says the Lord, plans to give you a hope and a future, and not to harm you." The verse would be their mantra every day of the filming, Chase had no doubt. He closed his eyes, and in a rush he could hear the music welling in his chest, feel the emotion as it filled a theater full of moviegoers. He could see the images as they danced across the big screen, and he could imagine all of it playing out beyond his wildest expectations. But the way from here to there could easily be 1,000,000 miles of rocky back roads and potholes. They were still at the gate, still waiting for the plane to head out toward the runway. Chase blinked and stared out the window, beyond the airport to the blue sky. Every day this week had been blue, not a cloud in sight, something Chase and Keith both found fitting. Because no matter what Kelly feared, no matter what pressures came with this decision, here was the moment Chase and Keith had dreamed of and planned for. The culmination of a lifetime of believing that God wanted them to take part in saving the world, not on a mission field in Indonesia, but in packed movie houses across America. Oak River Films, they called themselves. The name came from their love of the first psalm. Chase had long since memorized the first 3 verses. "Blessed is the man who walks not in the counsel of the wicked, nor stands in the way of sinners, nor sits in the seat of scoffers. But his delight is in the law of the Lord, and on his law he meditates day and night. He is like a tree planted by streams of water that yields its